Saudi Arabia, the 14th largest country in the world, is indeed renowned for its impressive feats and unique attributes. From towering skyscrapers and abundant camels to the vast expanse of the world's largest sandy desert and one of the largest airports, it's a country full of contrasts. But beyond its expansive deserts and remarkable landmarks, Saudi Arabia has several other intriguing and sometimes eerie features that you won't find anywhere else. Join us as we explore 15 of these unique aspects of Saudi Arabia that make it truly one of a kind. Enjoy watching. If you've ever fantasized about visiting Saudi Arabia and capturing every moment through your camera lens, you might need to adjust your expectations. Saudi Arabia has strict regulations regarding photography and the use of drones, which can make it challenging to fully indulge in your photographic ambitions. For starters, bringing drones into Saudi Arabia is not a straightforward process. You must obtain explicit permission from Saudi customs before you can bring a drone into the country. Even after securing this approval, you must adhere to stringent drone laws while operating it, which can limit where and how you use your drone. These regulations are in place to ensure safety and security, but they can also restrict your ability to freely document your travels. When it comes to selfies and other forms of personal photography, Saudi Arabia also has specific rules. Taking photos of people without their consent is considered a violation of privacy and decency codes. This can lead to significant fines, approximately 1,000 Saudi riyals, which you would definitely prefer to avoid. The country takes privacy seriously, and capturing images of individuals without permission is strictly prohibited. Overall, while Saudi Arabia is a country rich in culture and breathtaking landscapes, it's crucial to be aware of and respect its regulations regarding photography and drone use. By doing so, you can ensure a smoother and more enjoyable travel experience while avoiding potential legal issues. One of the more challenging aspects of life in Saudi Arabia, particularly for women, is the country's strict adherence to traditional interpretations of Islamic law. This has led to a number of significant restrictions on women's rights and freedoms, many of which are rooted in the teachings of Sunni Islam, specifically Sharia law, which is derived from the Quran and Hadith, the sayings and actions of Prophet Muhammad. Historically, Saudi Arabia has had some of the most stringent regulations regarding women's roles in society. For a long time, women were not allowed to drive, a prohibition that was only recently lifted in 2018. This change marked a significant shift in the country's approach to women's rights, but many other restrictions remain in place. In addition to the driving ban, women in Saudi Arabia were also previously required to have a male guardian, or mahram, to accompany them for most forms of travel and many daily activities. This system significantly limited their freedom and autonomy. Although recent reforms have gradually eased some of these restrictions, the impact of these policies has been substantial and has shaped many aspects of daily life for Saudi women. Another notable restriction is related to women's presence in cemeteries. In Saudi Arabia, women are traditionally not allowed to visit graves or cemeteries. This prohibition is based on a specific interpretation of a hadith in which Prophet Muhammad reportedly expressed disapproval of women visiting graves. While this does not imply that women cannot die, or that they are treated differently in death, it does mean that they are generally not permitted to enter cemeteries unless they are deceased themselves. These restrictions reflect the broader context of how Saudi Arabia's strict interpretation of Sunni Islam influences various aspects of life in the kingdom. The adherence to traditional Islamic law profoundly impacts social norms and the daily experiences of its citizens, particularly women. While there have been efforts to introduce reforms and modernize aspects of Saudi society, these changes are often gradual and met with considerable debate. Understanding the historical and religious context behind these restrictions is essential for comprehending the complex social dynamics in Saudi Arabia. While the global community has made significant strides in advancing freedom and human rights, these advancements do not extend uniformly across all nations. Saudi Arabia is a stark example where progress in these areas is limited, particularly concerning LGBTQ+ rights. In Saudi Arabia, the legal and social environment is heavily influenced by Islamic law, particularly Sharia law. This has profound implications for LGBTQ+ individuals. In stark contrast to many countries where open discussions about sexuality are increasingly accepted, Saudi Arabia's strict religious and legal framework enforces severe restrictions on sexual orientation and gender identity. Publicly identifying as gay or engaging in same-sex relationships is considered a grave offense under Saudi law. This prohibition is rooted in Sharia law, which condemns homosexual acts and enforces stringent penalties. Those found to be in violation of these laws can face severe consequences, including imprisonment. Offences such as sodomy or cross-dressing are prosecuted under these laws, and individuals can endure long periods of incarceration as a result. The situation has escalated in recent years. For example, in March 2016, reports emerged from the Saudi newspaper Ordaz, indicating that prosecutors in Jeddah were pushing for the death penalty for individuals who openly admitted to being gay. This marked a chilling reinforcement of the country's stance on LGBTQ+ issues and highlighted the extreme measures taken against those who challenge these societal norms. This harsh environment creates significant challenges for LGBTQ+ individuals in Saudi Arabia, where the risks associated with expressing one's sexual orientation or gender identity are extremely high. The legal system's approach to these issues reflects broader societal attitudes influenced by the intersection of religious doctrines and state laws, contributing to a climate where LGBTQ+ rights are severely restricted. In conclusion, while many parts of the world are moving towards greater acceptance and understanding of LGBTQ+ rights, Saudi Arabia remains a country where such freedoms are heavily curtailed. The consequences for those who defy these restrictions can be severe, underscoring the broader challenges faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in regions with stringent legal and cultural limitations. If you're planning a trip to Saudi Arabia, it's wise to exercise caution regarding personal matters such as your sexuality. While the Saudi government has recently stated that gay tourists are welcome, the reality on the ground can be complex. It's best to remain discreet about your personal life to avoid potential complications. The situation is evolving, so keeping abreast of any changes in policy and public attitudes is essential for a smooth visit. Imagine a world devoid of movies and the beloved stars who bring them to life. It would be rather dull, wouldn't it? For a significant period, this was a reality in Saudi Arabia. The kingdom, once a place with no cinemas, found itself without this form of entertainment for a considerable time. Interestingly, cinemas were once a part of Saudi life, especially in the 1930s. However, as societal attitudes shifted, authorities began to view movies and cinema as potentially harmful. Concerns were raised about the influence of Western content and the potential for corruption. This led to the banning of cinemas in the 1980s. For over 35 years, Saudi citizens and visitors faced a stark absence of movie theaters, a situation that could only be remedied by traveling to nearby countries where cinema was still available, assuming one could afford the trip. The absence of cinemas meant that watching a film became a luxury rather than a commonplace activity. Thankfully, this period of cinematic drought has come to an end. In 2017, Saudi Arabia lifted the ban on cinemas as part of a broader initiative to modernize and diversify the country's entertainment landscape. This move was a significant step in making the country more vibrant and engaging for both residents and tourists. If you had visited Saudi Arabia before 2017 and found it lacking in entertainment options, the return of cinemas might be a welcome development for any future trips. So, if you're heading to Saudi Arabia now, you can enjoy a more diverse range of activities, including watching movies, which were once off-limits. The kingdom is embracing a new era of entertainment, making it a more dynamic destination for visitors. It's essential to be aware of the country's stance on gambling. Despite the nation's rich cultural heritage and stunning scenic views, gambling is strictly prohibited in Saudi Arabia. This prohibition is deeply rooted in Islamic law, which considers gambling to be morally wrong and contrary to the principles guiding everyday life in the kingdom. Saudi Arabia does not have casinos or any formal gambling establishments. Engaging in gambling activities is deemed a serious crime, and the legal and cultural environment reflects a strong disapproval of such behavior. This prohibition is part of a broader adherence to religious and moral codes that govern various aspects of life in Saudi Arabia. However, in the digital age, some individuals have found ways to circumvent these restrictions. Online gambling, although illegal, still occurs in Saudi Arabia through the use of virtual private networks, VPNs. A VPN can mask one's location and online activity, allowing users to access gambling websites and services as if they were in a different country. This technology helps individuals bypass local restrictions and engage in activities that are otherwise prohibited. Despite these technological workarounds, it's important to remember that engaging in online gambling remains illegal in Saudi Arabia. The use of VPNs to gamble does not change the legal risks involved, and those caught participating in such activities can face serious legal consequences. In summary, while Saudi Arabia offers many attractions, gambling is not one of them. If you're planning to visit, it's best to respect the country's laws and cultural norms. Engaging in gambling, whether online or offline, is strongly discouraged and could lead to significant legal issues. Enjoy the many other aspects of Saudi Arabia's vibrant culture and stunning landscapes while adhering to its regulations and customs. As you delve deeper into understanding Saudi Arabia, it's crucial to recognize the role of the morality police, a key institution responsible for upholding the nation's strict laws and social codes. Guided by Islamic principles and a commitment to morality, this law enforcement agency ensures that residents and visitors adhere to the country's regulations. The Morality Police, officially known as the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice, CPVPV, was established in 1940. Over time, its structure and responsibilities have evolved, and it is now commonly referred to as the Morality Police. The agency's primary function is to enforce laws related to social behavior and morality, ensuring compliance with the ethical and religious standards that underpin Saudi society. The Morality Police play a significant role in maintaining public order by monitoring behavior and addressing violations of the country's social codes. This includes ensuring adherence to dress codes, public conduct regulations, and other aspects of Islamic law. The agency operates across various sectors of public life, from policing public spaces to overseeing activities in commercial and social settings. Despite its crucial role in law enforcement, the Morality Police have faced criticism over the years. Some individuals have reported instances of abuse of power and unnecessary harassment by officers. These complaints highlight concerns about the extent to which the agency enforces its mandates and the impact on individuals' rights and freedoms. In recent years, there have been efforts to address these issues and improve the conduct of the Morality Police. Reforms and changes in policy aim to curb abuses and ensure that the agency operates within acceptable limits while still fulfilling its role in upholding societal norms. Overall, while the Morality Police are an integral part of Saudi Arabia's enforcement landscape, their role and actions are subject to ongoing scrutiny and reform. For visitors and residents alike, understanding the agency's function and the evolving nature of its responsibilities is essential in navigating the social and legal environment of the kingdom. In Saudi Arabia, both religious and cultural practices are deeply intertwined with daily life, making it crucial to understand and respect local customs and laws when visiting. Mecca and Medina. These two cities are among the holiest sites in Islam. Mecca, in particular, holds immense significance as the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad and the destination for the Hajj pilgrimage, which every Muslim is required to undertake at least once in their lifetime if able. However, Mecca is exclusively reserved for Muslims. Non-Muslims are strictly prohibited from entering the city, and this rule is enforced rigorously. Attempting to enter Mecca as a non-Muslim can result in severe consequences, including deportation and fines. This restriction is in place to preserve the sanctity of the holy city. Valentine's Day. While Valentine's Day is widely celebrated around the world as a day for expressing love and affection, it is not recognized in the same way in Saudi Arabia. The holiday is viewed as having Christian origins, and its public celebration is not permitted under Saudi law. The authorities actively enforce this prohibition, ensuring that Valentine's Day is not acknowledged publicly. This includes restricting the sale of Valentine's-related merchandise and monitoring celebrations to prevent any public displays of the holiday. If you plan to be in Saudi Arabia during February, it's important to be aware that celebrating Valentine's Day openly is not allowed and could lead to legal trouble. In Saudi Arabia, where Islamic principles are deeply embedded in daily life, the practice of prayer, or salah, is highly revered and integral to the cultural and social fabric. Salah is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and represents a fundamental act of worship and communication between Muslims and Allah. It involves a set routine of 5 daily prayers, which serve as a constant reminder of a Muslim's devotion and submission to the will of Allah. These prayers are performed at specific times throughout the day, marking significant moments for spiritual reflection, repentance, and gratitude. This routine fosters discipline and helps Muslims balance their spiritual and worldly responsibilities. In Saudi Arabia, the adherence to these prayer times is strictly observed. It is common for businesses, shops, and even government offices to close during prayer times. This practice underscores the country's commitment to Islamic values and ensures that everyone has the opportunity to fulfill their religious obligations. During these periods, all employees, regardless of their role, are expected to pause their activities to perform their prayers. Consequently, customers and visitors may find that stores and services are temporarily unavailable during these times. For those unfamiliar with this practice, it can be quite surprising to find themselves in a situation where they are asked to leave a shop or restaurant when the prayer call begins. It is advisable for visitors to be aware of the prayer schedule and plan accordingly. Understanding and respecting this aspect of Saudi culture will help in navigating daily activities and avoiding any inconvenience. In essence, the observance of prayer times is a vital aspect of life in Saudi Arabia, reflecting the nation's deep respect for Islamic teachings. Being mindful of these practices will contribute to a more respectful and smooth experience while traveling in the country. In Saudi Arabia, daily life is profoundly influenced by Islamic customs and traditions, which extend into many aspects of social conduct and etiquette. One such custom relates to the use of hands, particularly the left hand, which is viewed through a different cultural lens compared to many Western norms. In Saudi Arabian and broader Islamic culture, the left hand is traditionally considered unclean and is thus reserved for tasks deemed less sanitary. This cultural perspective stems from Islamic teachings, which emphasize using the right hand for activities like eating and greeting. Consequently, using the left hand for these purposes can be seen as inappropriate or disrespectful. Here are a few key points to be mindful of. 1. Eating. In Saudi Arabia, it is considered a significant breach of etiquette to eat with your left hand. The right hand is preferred for handling food, as it aligns with the cultural and religious norms that regard the left hand as unsuitable for such tasks. 2. Greetings. Shaking hands with your left hand is also frowned upon. When greeting others, especially in formal or respectful contexts, it is essential to use your right hand to avoid any cultural faux pas. 3. General conduct. Beyond eating and greetings, the use of the left hand in other activities may be subject to scrutiny. Being aware of this custom can help you navigate social interactions more smoothly and show respect for local traditions. For foreigners traveling to Saudi Arabia, understanding and adhering to these cultural norms is important. Even though customs around left-handedness may seem unusual or restrictive, they are deeply rooted in the cultural and religious fabric of the country. To avoid misunderstandings or unintentional disrespect, it is advisable to make a conscious effort to use your right hand for eating, greeting, and other relevant activities. Gender segregation. Saudi Arabia is known for its strict gender segregation, which is deeply rooted in Islamic and cultural practices. Public spaces, including restaurants and cafes, often have separate areas for men and women. For instance, in Riyadh's Starbucks, a physical wall was used to separate the genders. When this wall was temporarily removed in 2016, it led to significant backlash, resulting in a temporary ban on women entering the establishment. This incident underscores how seriously gender segregation is enforced in public spaces. Furthermore, interactions between men and women who are not related are highly regulated. Staring at women for extended periods is considered inappropriate and can lead to social or legal repercussions. Gender segregation extends to social events as well, such as weddings. In Saudi Arabian wedding ceremonies, men and women celebrate separately in different spaces. The bride and groom typically only come together briefly towards the end of the event, highlighting the importance placed on maintaining gender boundaries even during such personal occasions. Youth demographics. In terms of demographics, Saudi Arabia is notably young. The majority of the population is under the age of 35, with the average age around 30. This youthful demographic is reflective of broader social and economic trends. Recent statistics reveal that approximately 30.3% of the population is under 14 years old, while 34.7% falls between the ages of 15 and 35. This creates a dynamic society with a significant proportion of its citizens in their formative years. Interestingly, about 51% of Saudi Arabia's youth population is male. Among the 15 to 34 age group, around 66.2% of individuals are unmarried. Of this group, 43.1% are unmarried women, indicating a notable proportion of the population who are still single. This demographic profile suggests a young nation with a large segment of its population navigating the challenges of early adulthood, including marriage and career development. Saudi Arabia's blend of strict gender segregation and a predominantly young population creates a distinctive societal framework. The country's adherence to traditional practices regarding gender roles and interactions can be surprising for visitors. Meanwhile, the youthful demographic adds a modern twist to this traditional landscape, shaping the country's cultural and social dynamics. Understanding these aspects is crucial for anyone looking to engage with or travel to Saudi Arabia, as it helps navigate the complex interplay of tradition and modernity in this unique nation. Saudi Arabia's unique cultural and environmental landscape offers a fascinating contrast between its abundant natural resources and the strict social norms that govern daily life. Public displays of affection, PDAs. In Saudi Arabia, public displays of affection, PDAs, such as kissing, hugging, or making out, are strictly prohibited. This cultural norm is deeply rooted in the country's adherence to Islamic values and social codes, which emphasize modesty and respect in public interactions. Engaging in such activities can lead to significant legal repercussions, including fines and other penalties. Therefore, if you're considering a romantic getaway, Saudi Arabia may not be the ideal destination for open expressions of love. The cultural expectation is to maintain discretion and respect public decorum. Oil reserves. Saudi Arabia is renowned for its vast oil reserves, which have played a pivotal role in shaping the country's economy and global standing. Oil was first discovered in Saudi Arabia in March 1938 at the Dammam oil field, which was approximately 1,400 meters deep. Today, Saudi Arabia holds about 70% of the world's known petroleum reserves, underscoring its crucial role in global energy markets. The Ghawar oil field, the largest in the world, contains around 75 million barrels of oil. To put this in perspective, that amount of oil could fill approximately 4.7 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. This abundance of oil has established Saudi Arabia as a leading oil producer and exporter. Water scarcity. Despite its wealth in oil, Saudi Arabia faces significant challenges related to water scarcity. The country is predominantly desert, with minimal freshwater sources. The absence of rivers and the depletion of groundwater have led Saudi Arabia to rely heavily on desalination technology to meet its water needs. Desalination, while effective, is an expensive process. Consequently, the cost of potable water in Saudi Arabia can be higher than that of oil. This stark contrast highlights the critical importance and value of water in a nation where it is a scarce resource, emphasizing the complex interplay between natural wealth and environmental challenges. Saudi Arabia presents a unique blend of cultural, economic, and environmental characteristics. While it is a global leader in oil production, its scarcity of water reflects a different set of challenges. The country's strict regulations on public behavior, particularly regarding displays of affection, further define its distinctive social landscape. Understanding these nuances can help travelers and observers navigate the complexities of Saudi Arabian society and appreciate the country's unique position in the global context. Indeed, Saudi Arabia's legal system operates under a strict interpretation of Sharia law, which significantly influences its approach to criminal justice and punishment. Here's a detailed look at the legal and penal landscape in Saudi Arabia. Severe punishments. In Saudi Arabia, the application of Sharia law means that certain crimes are met with severe punishments, often more stringent than what might be seen in other countries. Theft, for instance, can result in extreme penalties. Historically, punishments for theft under Sharia law have included amputation of hands or feet, though such severe measures are not always applied and are subject to various conditions and judicial discretion. The legal system is deeply rooted in Islamic teachings, which dictate specific penalties for certain offences. Legal system. Saudi Arabia's legal system is based on Islamic law, with judges interpreting and applying Sharia principles. This system lacks a codified legal code in the way many Western legal systems do, meaning that there is considerable reliance on individual judges' interpretations of Islamic scriptures. As a result, legal proceedings and punishments can vary depending on the judge's interpretation of Sharia law. Criminal justice. The absence of a formal legal code means that the application of justice in Saudi Arabia can be unpredictable. Individuals accused of crimes face judicial discretion that is guided by religious texts rather than a standardized set of laws. This system emphasizes the importance of adhering strictly to legal and moral codes as defined by Sharia law. Advice for travelers. Given the strict legal environment, it is crucial for visitors to understand and respect Saudi Arabia's laws and cultural norms. Engaging in any form of criminal activity, including seemingly minor offences, can lead to severe consequences. The emphasis on adherence to religious and legal codes underscores the importance of respecting local laws and customs during your stay in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's legal system, based on Sharia law, imposes significant penalties for criminal behavior, reflecting the country's strict adherence to Islamic principles. For travelers and residents alike, understanding and respecting these legal and cultural norms is essential to avoiding serious legal issues. For more insights and updates, stay tuned to our channel and click on the video on your screen for more fascinating content.